Periscope, Twitter, it's here at last. So if you haven't heard the news, Wirecast is now streaming live to Periscope, and this is your episode to find out all the information about that. So stay tuned, and welcome to another episode of Wirecast Live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Wirecast Live. I'm your host, Andrew Haley, the live streaming and product evangelist for Wirecast here at Telestream in lovely Northern California, where we have been having rain, not rain. It's been a fun week, and it's been quite torrential. Sometimes I feel like I'm living in the jungle down by the equator, depending on how much rain is coming down at any given time. But all that aside, weather problems aside, we do have some pretty exciting news this week. We added a new destination, one of the destinations out there right now in the live streaming world, Twitter and Periscope. Twitter, if you hadn't heard, just announced their live Periscope producer API, which is now available. You can read all about it over at the developer blog on twitter.com. And basically, we were one of the few launch partners privileged to be involved and get early access to their API. Just as we did earlier with Facebook, and now we're excited to announce with Twitter, we can natively stream to their platform right within Wirecast, and you can both automatically go live right within Wirecast. I'll show you how to do that during a hands-on demonstration. You can also choose to notify your followers the minute you go live through Wirecast. So really a hands-free live experience. You're not having to go to your app anymore, and you're not having to configure anything in terms of punching in the correct RTMP address. All that is a bit of a hassle. I did a lot of demos on that back when Producer was announced, and you can check those out. Those are still valid. There's certainly another way to do it, but now it's way easier. And so you should just update to 7.5 if you haven't. It's a free update. And I'll cover that shortly in the demo portion of this video. And that brings me to announcements. My team and I have been talking about the format of the show. How can we better make this a live experience for you as a viewer tuning in? We know your time is valuable, and we also want to pack as much content as we can. The original goal of this show was to not only provide you with experts in the field and interview interesting people out there in the live streaming world, but to bring you practical, hands-on, and even sometimes very advanced Wirecast tips. So how do you fit all that into a show? Historically, I'm a fan of long-form interviews. I like to really get into it with people, and I feel you can't do that unless you're at least sitting with them for an hour. And maybe that's just because I'm a bad interviewer. But also, people just tend to open up a little better. And I think it really, you can lead the conversation in interesting directions. I like that, but it also meant that the show was beginning to stretch a little long, and sometimes it lagged in the middle. So my team and I talked, what could we do to make this better and better for you guys as viewers? And we decided that what we want to do is move to a new show format. So starting next week, we will be trying to keep the interview portion as the main topic for the show. And so you will see that the Wirecast Live episodes will pretty much be all about the guest that we have or the topic that we've picked for that show. And that's we're going to try to limit to about a half hour, as close as we can. If this interview happens to be very interesting or we want to go a little long, we'll leave ourselves room to do that. But I'll basically close out the show right after the guest is done or after we're done discussing the topic. At that point, you can leave. That'll be basically a complete episode of Wirecast Live because you'll know about the topics ahead of time, and we'll announce those when we post those. But we will then go into a post show or almost a second episode each week, which will focus on a learning session of some kind. And we're going to open up the expanse of that as well and be more than just Wirecast and just Wirecast and software centric. I'll be talking about all the issues that surround the live streaming ecosystem. We may talk about lights. We may talk about capture cards. We may talk about cameras. We may talk about just the concepts behind encoding and just interesting things. So I think it's a great chance for me to tap into my inner teacher. I used to be a teacher at a school, so I love to talk about things and learn new things and teach new things. And so we'll do that, as well as continue to give you great Wirecast tutorials and practical tips. So if you have an idea for something you'd like me to cover during a learning session, then please tweet at me with hashtag WirecastLive, put the word topic somewhere in there, and I will look at that, and the team will look at that, and we'll try to put that on the calendar for some of the upcoming episodes. But we're really going to give those tutorials, they'll become kind of their own episodes, and we'll upload them separately, and they'll be titled separately. But if you tune in every week at this regular time, you're certainly going to be able to catch both the guest and the main topic, and then the learning session. So I hope that makes sense. We're going to split that up, and I think you'll enjoy it. And that way, if you're searching for things after the fact, you don't necessarily have to dig through a whole hour episode to find the content you're looking for. We can organize it a little better for you. So hopefully we'll see how that goes starting next week, and you will enjoy the results of that. Okay, that said, I have a couple announcements before I jump in. As I mentioned, this show, we don't have a guest. The whole topic of the show is Wirecast 7.5, streaming to Twitter and Periscope and how that works. I covered that in a demo video that you can see when you launch or when you update to 7.5. But that's pretty much it. So I don't think this is going to be a super long show, but I do have a few announcements that I wanted to give to you guys. First of all, upcoming guests. We have Jerry Banfield next week. Jerry Banfield, if you haven't heard of him, is probably one of the biggest gamers and game streamers on Facebook. If you didn't know it, Facebook launched a competing sort of gaming platform. I don't know how popular it is in particular, but Jerry was one of the first people I've seen that's streaming a lot of gaming content to Facebook. So it's going to be really interesting to take that spin. He doesn't use a traditional game streaming software like, say, our Game Show product or any of its competitors. He uses Wirecast to stream his games. And he likes to use Wirecast because of the Facebook integration. So I'm going to be talking all about that, the community, how do you get up and going as a game streamer on Facebook in particular, some of the challenges he's faced, and things that he's doing. You should check him out. He's actually a really inspiring person, and in my opinion, he's done a lot of amazing content. He has a huge site with a ton of different courses, even courses that teach you not only how to protect yourself against hacking, but how to learn how to hack things if you're interested in that. So pretty interesting, very popular Udemy courses. I didn't know. So he's got a little bit of everything to offer people. So tune in next week for him. Following week, we'll be talking all about live production with an expert in the field. Mark Alamaris from Mobion is one of the premier live event producers in the world. He does events from the top to the bottom, everybody from Snoop Dogg live concerts down to world globe spanning, concerts and even reunion events for, say, major nonprofits and organizations. So he's done a lot. He's done like tango competitions in South America. I mean, this guy knows how to get a team out in the field and do a live event and make it high quality and stream it out. And he uses Wirecast very often to do that, along with a whole other bucket of tools. So hopefully you can tune in to get some great tips on what's in his toolkit. Maybe if we have time, I'll ask him to make a mykit.com thing so he can kind of run through some lists of the gear he likes to use, and we'll post that. And then following Jerry and Mark, we have Michael Shu, and we will be talking about storytelling. So I think you'll find that a really good one. He's going to be coming on in 3 weeks. So you can check him out at storyandheart.com. And this guy really knows and focuses on the craft of storytelling. And I think that's a really important skill, because after all the technology is gone, you're going to want to know, how do I tell a good story? Really, in the end, that's what people tune in for. And I think he's going to be a great person to learn from on some of the key principles and things you can do to do better live streaming and better storytelling through live. One of the slogans we use here at Wirecast, one of the mottos that we have, is telling your story live, because that really is what communication and live communication and video streaming is all about. So I'm excited to have that. So those are our next 3 episodes. If you can always check out upcoming events and upcoming live streams and episodes currently at telestream.net/events. You'll learn about upcoming webinars. We've got some cool stuff you might want to check out there. And we are working on getting our live page ups where you will be able to get all of the calendar. But for now, this is the best place to go. Go check it out. Also, we've had a ton of signups for the ebook, The Ultimate Guide to Live Streaming. I almost forgot. You'll want to check that out. If you haven't, it's going to be really good. So I'm working really hard on this with Mari Smith. We are putting this together and I think it's going to be an awesome ebook. So if you haven't already, if you didn't catch last week's episode, go check it out at telestream.net/Mari. You can sign up. We will send you pre-release copies. We're actually going to be sending out a little bit of a sneak preview before the book is ready. I highly recommend getting it. You can check it out again at telestream.net/Mari, and you can sign up to get your copy of the 2017 Ultimate Guide to Facebook Live Streaming. So that's all I have for announcements. Let me check out your comments and questions, and we will dive into the demo portion of this, the learning session, as we're going to be calling them, of this episode. Let's see. So we have Deb. Hey, Deb. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Looks like we have Sound Church. Hi. Thanks for coming in. We also have Trevor behind the scenes. He's going to be answering your comments and questions on social media. So say hi to Trevor, and thank you for all the work you're doing out there. I would not be able to do what I do here without Deborah Lee and Trevor. They're really important to the success of this show. All right, so next I want to click on, I'm just going to take this whole stream live so I can see all the comments. I have, let's see, it looks like Laroslav from Ukraine. Thanks for joining. And it looks like Deb Dedrick is at Social Media Marketing World, so I hope you like that. And you just saw Guy Kawasaki from Canva. Cool. So a lot of the folks, some of the folks we've interviewed on this show should be down at the Social Media Marketing World, including Mari Smith. That's a great live conference to go to, particularly for marketers and internet marketers. So we will see, I think, a lot. And we'll try to maybe get a post wrap-up show or have somebody on the show to talk to us about what's going on down there. All right, I think that's it. I'm going to dive into, and David Foster, thanks for answering some questions there in the feed as well. Appreciate that. All right, let's go to my desktop. Let's talk about what's new in 7.5. The update process for 7.5 is easy. If you open any version of Wirecast 7, you should get pinged. It should tell you that there's an update available. In this case, I've already done that, and that will take you to an easy update page. If for some reason you can't do that, you can always check the update right here, and it'll tell you if you're in your preferences, it'll tell you if your copy of Wirecast is current or if there's a new version available. If it says new version available, you can click on the link, and that will take you to the update page where you can download 7.5. When you launch 7.5, you will see, again, an overview video. It's going to cover basically what I'm going to cover right now. So it's a quick tutorial. It's a great way to learn about the new feature. We did some bug fixes. We also mainly added this new destination. And that's kind of it for what's new in 7.5. But if you missed that, or haven't seen the video, or you'd like to see it in a little more depth or ask some questions, I will cover that now. So, in my opinion, it really couldn't be much easier than the way we've implemented it here. It's so straightforward. You're going to go to, anytime you set up your Wirecast document and you want to set up your destinations, you go to your output menu and you click on the output destinations or output settings, and that will allow you to choose what destination you want to stream to. By default, our RTMP server is the selected one. You can configure this to stream anywhere you want. You just need to know the address, or you can use one of the integrated destinations with companies that we've already partnered with or worked with. And in this case, you really just need your username or password. And sometimes you don't even need that, because the OAuth process will grab the cached password from your browser. So if you have said, please keep me logged in Chrome or Firefox, then Wirecast can use that to go just log you in immediately. You'll see what I mean in just a second. So select Periscope or Twitter directly from the list. It should be in about the middle. And then you're going to simply add an account. In this case, it is going to auto log me in, which is great. Actually, I think I already have logged in here. And you'll see that it's remembered that I'm logged in here. But if you haven't logged in, it's going to give you an authorization code. And then it's going to automatically launch a browser and take you to Periscope. And then you can sign in, and it'll ask you for that authorization code. And you just copy and paste it. So it's straightforward, really easy. And I'm going to just select this account. And if you're curious, I can even close the browser here, quit that. I can remove this account. And let's just pretend I haven't even logged in yet. So we'll just hit the plus. That again is going to log in immediately. It's going to ask me to log in or sign up. And there it is. It's going to ask for the authorization code because it's logged me into my Twitter account. And it's basically saying, please copy this code, copy and paste it. You can see here, paste it at the following URL. And we'll paste it right here. And we'll authorize. So now Twitter, basically, we've given manual authorization for Wirecast to post to Twitter, to your Twitter account, to set live streams, and to Periscope as well. So all of your Periscope streams appear natively in your Twitter feed. They're just kind of hand together because they're owned by the same company. And that's it. And then really we've limited everything else because it's just super straightforward. Periscope has recommended streaming settings of approximately 800 to 900 kilobits per second. So it's not a lot. It's going to actually stream at below 1280 for most phones. That's just what they want to make sure that people have the best streaming experience. So you're not going to be streaming 1080. You're not going to be streaming crazy high resolutions yet to Periscope. You're going to start with something 1280 or below. And I think the 800 kilobits per second, and then the audio is a little bit more, is going to automatically tell you. So just keep that in mind. And then you've also going to be able to enter a title. I like this because I used to have to go to the app to do this. I don't have to do this anymore. I can say my live stream. And here are my favorite two boxes in the whole experience: the tweet when starting up and automatically start and stop. If you don't check this box, you do have to manually start the stream in Twitter. This might be useful if you want to start streaming early. So David, I know you like to go live 10 to 15 minutes early before the show begins for pre-show stuff. Then you may not want this to automatically go. Maybe you do. Maybe you're just doing testing. You want to make sure that the connection's okay, but you're not quite ready to go live to your audience. Leave this box unchecked. But if you just want to start going live the minute that you start streaming, in my case, that's what I want to do. Hit OK. We'll add something here. I think I can add maybe a capture card. And there's my my video feed. I can add some audio maybe. So let's see if I can change the audio source. It looks like I don't actually have a microphone plugged in this computer. So my Periscope followers, not that they are going to be watching this anyway on this account, will just see my video and not my audio. So I'm going to take that over to the live window. And the minute I hit stream, it should go live on Periscope. So I'm going to click stream. Just make sure everything's connected okay. It looks like we're fine. And now I'm going to jump over to my phone. So if you want to, I'll take you over to my phone and we can see what that's. Uh-oh, it said failed to broadcast. Hold on. What's going on there? Maybe. Looks like we're still okay. Let's make sure we're okay. Anyway, let's head over to Periscope. And then pull up my phone here. I've got it plugged in. Is right there. And we're good. So actually, let's go back to the phone real fast. Deborah, let's pull that up. And yeah, we've got basically, you can actually see, this is actually, that's the live feed of Wirecast right there. So my live stream is having trouble. It could be a bandwidth issue here, but it is, at least it got the title and graphic and everything. So let's stop that for a second. Let's restart in just a second. I'm gonna go back to the output settings. I'm going to go back to Twitter Periscope. We're going to hit, maybe don't go automatically live. Hit OK. Start streaming. And what I'm going to do back on my phone here is I'm going to go to my advanced sources. I just want to make sure this is where you would go through the same process that you used to have to go through for Periscope Producer. So back on my phone, pull that up. And you can see here that if I go to advanced sources, and you can see that there should be one with a preview. So I'll be able to hit the preview here. and it should come through with my green screen. There we go. Boom, nailed it. So this is what we do if you're not automatically going live, but that looks fine. I can hit, hi folks, hit start broadcast, and there, I'm live on Periscope from Wirecast. That's kind of the old method, but it's easier now actually because I didn't have to copy or paste anything. I just automatically started streaming from Wirecast. So let's stop this stream. I'm going to stop the stream, and I'll stop because I'm going to swipe down to stop. And now I'm actually going to go back to my Wirecast UI here. I'm going to stop streaming here. You'll see it's obviously telling people that it just ended. We're going to go back to the main page here. And I'm going to go on my computer here. I'm going to just check back in on my output settings. And you can see that I want to actually start it automatically. And this should be okay. And I'm going to change the title here. Hit OK. And, oh, one thing I didn't mention here, by the way, I'm going to show you this real fast, actually. Output settings, jump back in, is if you're curious and you want to change your account, you can do that here. You can add additional accounts. So just something to be aware of. This is a great way to log into multiple ones, and you can select different ones if you wanted to. For now, I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just going to hit OK. And this should automatically start streaming. I hit save. And I should be able to pull this up directly on Periscope. And if we go over to my phone here, you'll see my new live stream test. It's pulling up the feed. And there it is. So pretty good stuff. Straightforward. It works great. I like how how simple it is. It's really straightforward and easy to use. You'll see additional stuff coming into this as Twitter continues to refine the API. You'll see additional features. There's a lot of cool stuff that I think you'll be able to start doing with this. We're just beginning to scratch the surface. The goal with this release was to make it as easy as possible to stream to Periscope in Wirecast, and I think we succeeded at that. It's so straightforward. You're just logging into your account, and that can actually happen automatically if you happen to already be logged in on your computer. And at that point, you don't even have to worry about encoding settings. You're just good to go. So that's pretty much it. If you want it to auto live, you go auto live. If you don't want it to go auto live, then you'll need to go jump into your Periscope phone, into Periscope, and click on the advanced sources. To my knowledge, there's no way to do that in the web yet. So if you're trying to do that on the computer and you want to go live with that, then you have to use your phone. I mean, I think that's still true if you don't check that box. So again, I don't see any reason not to. I find that so straightforward. It just goes live. But for those of you who really want a little more control and want to be able to say when it goes live, then you will definitely probably want to take advantage of, you'll need to have your phone close by. I also recommend having your phone close by because that's where you'll read all the comments that people are leaving on Periscope and Twitter. One thing I've noticed about Periscope and Twitter, and if you are watching right now on Periscope and Twitter, I'm actually going to pull up the feed here. What we're doing here so I can see these comments, but I think it's a really good idea to keep your phone close by anyway, because this is where you will see those comments coming in and you can read them. So actually apologize, I forgot that I can tune in as a viewer. Normally I was like, well, if I'm not the broadcaster right now to the Wirecast account, somebody else is doing that. Trevor was managing that on his phone, so I was thinking I couldn't read the comments, but I absolutely can. Just tune in as a viewer and you can read that. So to you two people who are currently watching on Periscope, and maybe I'm one of them, you can leave comments or hearts, but that's a great way to keep an eye on those comments. So the more platforms you stream to, the more eyeballs and sort of attention you have to pay to each platform just to keep on top of any questions and so forth. So before we close out for today, we're kind of reaching our half-hour mark, which will be, again, the new sort of standard time for wrapping up if we can. I'm happy to take a few questions if you guys have anything in particular that you'd like to know more about. So Ben, good to see you here. You do need more interactivity on the comments and do better on streams. I absolutely think and Periscope is a year late. So, and then some. Yeah, they're definitely a little behind on opening up their platform. But it's funny. All three platforms, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, they all added different features at different times. It was really funny. I think YouTube was way ahead with their API and contribution from third party. They weren't really a mobile company. That wasn't what they were thinking. So it's pretty interesting. I think they all got there in the end, but they added them all in different ways. Pre-scheduling on Twitter and Periscope isn't there yet, so I guess we'll probably see that, I would assume, next. David, we use Broadcaster Pro, which is a Chrome extension and allows you to keep those comments up. Good tip. I've actually been looking for one of those. I was going to ask you if you had a tip for that. So Broadcaster Pro, huh? I'll check that out. That seems like a great tip. Ben, is there any documentation? It looks like David answered that, but it looks like you're wondering if Facebook has any documentation on something earlier. I'm not following that feed. Let me see here. Oh, yeah. You wish the API just gave you comments. Yeah. So Facebook's API, I believe, does have, you can pull comments in. YouTube doesn't, to my knowledge. And, of course, Periscope just launched their API, and I don't think you can pull in Periscope comments at this time. I'm not sure if you will be able to or not at all. You can, of course, use Twitter API and pull in tweets, but we do that through the Twitter API through a separate feature, a separate tool. But, yeah, I think you'll see more and more of that. There's some cool stuff coming down the pipeline. This was one of those things that I wanted to talk about earlier because, I've known about it for a while, but, I haven't been able to talk about it. So, we're finally here, and I'm finally able to talk a lot about Periscope. But in the end, of course, really, it's a pretty straightforward message. Not a lot to talk about. We're now going there. It's really straightforward. If there's other things or other tools you want, you should ping at us and let us know. All right, Sandy, looks like you had a question. How do you get permission to play music on a Facebook Live feed? Depends on the music, depends on who you're asking permission from. There are royalty-free ones. Sometimes Facebook, even if you have the rights, will still go to a database or YouTube. They'll recognize it as copyrighted music, and there's no mechanism for them to know that you have permission, even if that was copyrighted music that you officially got the permission for. So I like to say they tend to shoot first and ask questions later. They tend to take down those streams with copyrighted material first and ask questions later. They'll often flag it and let you know that you need to sort of tell them that you have permission, but it's hard to do live and in the moment. Most of the time I just see people try to go with music that they know that Facebook isn't going to have in a database somewhere if possible. So you can talk to friends, you can grab very obscure, local musicians, see if you can record your own tracks. There's a lot of ways to do it that you will probably have no problems. Other than that, you might just want to do a lot of testing ahead of time on private or unlisted streams and see what you can get away with. And of course, make sure you have permission. That's not what I'm saying, but just see which songs are going to trigger those warnings or cutting off of those streams, even though you have permission. That might be a good way. I don't think anybody's done an exhaustive test. There's also a lot of royalty-free music sites out there, and there's some good ones that Paul Richards and I talked about on one of his streams, I think, for PTZ Optics. So there's some good ones that you can get great music at. Key feature for Periscope mobile is that it supports 360 video. I didn't know that does that, but I think you're going to see a lot of announcements around 360 coming up as well. A lot of platforms want you to be able to stream easily in 360. And of course, we here at Wirecast Telestream, we want to also enable you to do that. So I think you'll see more of that. It just requires a larger size. And I think a lot of people are just just happy that they can get 720 out the door and up. Sometimes 720 is all you can do. So when you double or triple or quadruple that, that can be a tall order for some people. And then on the download, that can also be a problem. So, as awesome as 360 is, our infrastructure is still somewhat weak. It's not like we're South Korea or something. Let's see. Really, Deb looks good. I'm glad to know that guy. If that's what you're saying, that he had a good word to say. I love him. He's great, and glad you ran into him there. Mike, when streaming an interview with a person via Skype to Periscope or Facebook Live, what are the key elements to address in order to have audio and video of the interview synced? How much of it is tied to the upload bandwidth on my end, my interviewees, or on my interviewee's end, whether I have a quad-core processor or a dual-core processor versus something else? So this is a really good question. I think we'll end on this question, Mike. This is something that maybe we can revisit as well in upcoming shows, because it's something that we have some tutorials on, but it's worth unpacking more. Let me just put it as straightforward as I can. All of it is important. First of all, your interviewer, the person who's calling in, they need to have great upload speed. So they need to be able to get you their signal to the Skype servers. They need to have low latency, getting their stream out, and handshaking with Skype or Zoom. I found that Zoom tends to be a little easier to use and a little seems to have a streamlined codec a little bit better. So it seems to just stay, the quality of the video seems to stay consistent and not take up a ton. So if you're not using a Skype TX box or something, or you don't need like that broadcast level of video quality, which can be a problem, the Zoom can basically get you almost the same results, and seems to work a little more reliably. Nice thing about Zoom too is it has like auto switch features and things, so you can just point a screen capture at it, and when someone starts talking, it'll switch to their camera almost automatically, which is really handy if you have more than one guest, especially. So that's important. They need to have great bandwidth, and then you need to have great download and upload as well, so you can return a good video stream to them. So that's all important. But then, of course, you've got your streaming, where you're streaming to Facebook or Periscope, which is going out as well. So you have to have even better upload than your guests usually, because you're sending out more than just your conversations video and audio. You are also sending out your broadcast audio and video. And then, of course, your computer has to be pretty powerful, because it has to unpack all the incoming streams. It also has to package and encode all the outgoing ones, whether they're to Skype or Zoom for your conversation, and whether or not they're also to your platforms like Periscope and Facebook. My Mac Mini right here, the little demo machine that I have here, will be replacing it, because it chokes. When I try to watch your Facebook streams and read your comments, and even do demos and some streaming, it can't handle it. It's just a little dual core processor. It's too much for the little guy. Of course, your processors are also involved if you have cameras attached, and then you have capture cards, which also require processing and decoding going on. So that also hits your system resources. So a powerful machine is really a prerequisite, at least a quad core i7, and you can go up from there if you want. So I highly recommend a powerful machine. I highly recommend at least a 10 megabit per second internet connection, both up and down. So that's highly recommended for you if you're going to be serious about live broadcasting in HD quality. If you don't care about the HD quality, you can probably get away with less. But 10 megabit per second is going to cover that remote interviewing situation while also trying to get streams out the door. That's kind of your entry point for HD level streaming. And then last but not least, the audio and video syncing is also a bit of a thing. I tend to not worry about the sync if my guest hears my voice a little behind or after. We like to give them a house feed of the video, and that is sometimes a little behind my direct audio, which I just patch indirectly to Skype or Zoom. So they might see the house video, which might be their video, it might be my video, it's whatever we're showing the broadcaster, so that the person I'm interviewing is actually watching what all the guests are seeing, or the audience is seeing. And that can sometimes mean that they see that a little after my voice hits them. I don't worry about that because that's just on the guest end. What we want to make sure is that going out the door, everything's ready and synced and going out correctly. And Wirecast at least has some great tools to help you slow down your video or audio from your Skype feed, from your guest, or from your camera, or from your microphone if they're coming in from different sources. But as long as once everything looks okay in Wirecast, then it can go out the door correctly to your viewers and to your audience. And that's where I worry about all the syncing stuff. And we sometimes need to make adjustments. So you'll get a handle on it once you sort of start hooking things up. It really comes out in the details there. It's a complicated, time-consuming process, and but eventually you'll get the hang of it, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. It's a long-winded answer, but I hope that gets your question justice. All right. We're going to stop there. We are past the half hour. It's been a great show. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. We'll be interviewing Jerry Banfield. Don't forget to subscribe on Facebook, Live, Twitter, or on Periscope. You can follow us any of these places. We do stream on them every week. It's a great place to catch up with us at 2:30 Pacific time on Thursdays. And of course, if you are interested in the ultimate guide to live streaming, which is forthcoming, head over to telestream.net/Mari. We'll actually just be changing that as well. But for now, that's the best place. You can sign up for your ebook download, and I'll be sending that out shortly. So thanks again. It's been a great show. And as always, I'm very grateful for those of you who tune in to watch every week. And I will see you next time. This has been another episode of Wirecast Live.